I know it's not a
It's
podcast, but
not. So what do we say?
it is me and Deb.
What
So
do we say?
I know we're gonna look at your new horse, Milo. So
Milo.
this is a horse training, horse riding lesson.
Yay.
And then we're gonna do a lesson where you help me with this
What you think is your
uncomfortableness,
shoulder?
uncomfortableness in my shoulder.
Just focus on that.
Yeah. No, and I actually have already utilized some stuff you've taught me, which was like reaching is a little tricky, right? And
So define what tricky means.
if I reach too far up too fast, I get a little pain.
Okay, you
Eh,
get pain.
yeah.
Okay.
And so what I started doing was before I reach for something, because then I found I was avoiding it.
Of course.
And so, or I was bracing because I knew the pain
You
was
were
coming.
protecting it. Yeah.
So I did learn to reach for a lot of things with my left hand. That was helpful. And when I did have to reach, I started reaching with my right hand again, but pausing and going, how could I do this in a more
Mhm.
comfortable way that doesn't create the pain?
Good
And
point.
it freaking worked. Like
It works. The
yeah,
pause is a pretty big deal.
yeah,
It really is. It's what makes the Alexander technique different from everything else.
yes,
Yeah, it's
yes.
vital.
And the pause thresholds, those concepts are so big in my work too, because I
Yeah,
go, that's what's authentic. You can't,
good point.
you kind of can't make yourself change your emotional state. You can't,
You can try, but there's too much, like I said, from everything I'm learning now, there's too much chemical response going on.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that at the cellular level, that it's fascinating. It's just fascinating.
yeah. No, Candace Pert's work on the molecules of
Hmm.
emotions was so humbling because I go, the nervous system is triggering polypeptides,
Hmm.
ligands, polypeptide hormones, ligands, and what are the other one? Peptides, I guess.
Yep,
And
polypeptides.
those
Hmm.
are released and attached to the surface, the receptors on the
Hmm.
surface of cells. And that chemical process is what we call emotions. And I
It's the
go,
same thing with pain. If you think about it, it's a great comparison because the whole Western model of pain is it has to be seeable. You know what I mean? It has to
you have to
be,
see pathology.
you have to see pathology. And what we're finding is that is not true, at least for humans. I don't know
Yeah.
about people, but, or about horses, but for people, it's a total psychological, emotional, physiological thing.
Yeah, there was a vet at University of Georgia who did such an interesting paper on pathology does not equal pain.
We need to do a podcast on that
Ah, we're
one.
starting a freaking podcast. Let's get to your horse. This
No,
is supposed to be a lesson for
we're
you.
stuck.
We're,
We can't help
I
it. We
know.
can't help
We're
it.
sitting here like it's a podcast and we need to share the screen. Okay.
Either or, it's all the same.
No, no, I've got Milo all pulled up, ready to
Yay, Milo.
go.
So, a little bit of history. I was gone for a month. So, well, 3 weeks, but it was maybe a month before I started long lining him. I rode him once, and maybe 3 weeks has gone by, and this is the ride yesterday, day before yesterday, something like that.
Okay, so he had
So
time
turn the
off.
sound off because my husband is
It's off. Yeah.
talking through the whole thing.
I know. The one taking the video, it's like, yeah,
It just can't teach these guys, I swear.
and there's the thumb over the lens.
Yep, yep, always.
Always. Okay,
Things I can't
so
control.
he had time off while you were gone. You were in Europe, and then
Yep,
you came back, long reined him. And this is, sorry, did you
yeah.
say the first ride?
Second ride since
Second
I've been
ride.
back.
Okay.
And we'll look at this and then, I've got some new things that have kind of come up in the last two rides, but let's go through this first.
Okay. Any questions you have right off the bat, or we're looking?
Um,
He's so darn
I
cute.
just, I, oh, I know it,
He's such a little
but what
roly-poly.
he's get, he's just a really hard read for me right now. Like, does he need more long lining? Does he need more riding? Where are we at?
So either is fine, is the real answer, because it doesn't
Right.
matter. What speeds up development is when we figure out that the horse makes better changes without weight on their back or with weight on their back.
That's where I'm at. That's
That's
where I'm at. So he's got the walk great. And the last time I rode him and this time I rode him near the end, he doesn't know what leg is very much. He's just learning. I don't know how he was ridden before. So pressure, he is starting to push back against it.
the leg aid.
Yeah, the leg aid. And this last time when I asked him to go up to trot, he actually pinned his ears and kicked out.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean he doesn't understand the leg aid. It just means he's not sure he can do it. So
Right, right.
if
So I
they,
don't push him any further. I'm just asking.
yes. So at the walk, what I'm seeing is he's still holding through his neck a little bit. Like when
Right.
I look at the neck lengthening, I look at the top of the neck, the mane.
Okay.
So from the pole to the withers, when we can still see a curve or a crest and it doesn't really flatten out, then there's still muscle tension in the neck that's
Hmm.
compensating for the back down, the weight on the forehand, or an unbalanced weight left to right.
Okay.
And so what I do see is how much more he's using his hindquarters. He's not,
Okay, that was one of my questions because he feels, like you said, his front end feels like a barge
that would be
and his
weight on the
back end
forehand.
feels like it's all over the place.
That would be weight on the forehand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's probably some horses, like some horses, when you balance the weight left to right, they immediately go into an obvious long and low. The mane straightens out, and they're in an obvious, it's obvious the weight's on the forehand in long and low. When
Hmm.
they drop the back or the weight is unequal left to right, they hold through the neck and shorten the back muscles. So there's actually more weight on the forehand, but it's not obvious. So what you're feeling is all the stability up front that turns into the feeling of a plow and no stability behind, which is where he would need to control his own body weight.
Okay.
And so that's why the neck isn't straightening out. So he does look like, as you're going, there
He's taking a
are,
poop.
oh, shoot, that's what I was going to say too. Just getting the weight equal left to right doesn't get all horses from cheating with the neck into an authentic long and low.
Okay. No, the only
Sometimes,
time he gets long and low is if I'm working him on grass.
yeah, we'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the only time.
but when he's not taking advantage of grass, that holding through the neck, it can indicate a left to right imbalance in weight. It can also indicate that the pelvis isn't stable, and so the spine's pushing down, or the spine is pushing down, which is then making the pelvis unstable. So they
Right. That I
can,
agree with that.
you might find if that's the case, he tries to lengthen his neck and then he kind of quickly pulls it back.
That's what he does. Yeah.
And the other way to confirm that it's more to do with the hindquarters than the left to right is how he feels regarding steering and levelness. So
He's
if,
more level than he's ever been,
okay,
left, right, but his steering is horrid. Just horrid.
Okay.
Very hard to steer him.
Okay. And the pushing back is a little new for him,
It is. It is.
but
He was remember, he was way too forward when I got him.
right. So this is the funny part about internal changes. Sometimes it feels like we're swapping one problem for another, but it's actually a sign of progress where he used to use a flight defensive strategy, go faster,
Yes.
get away,
That's
avoid.
pretty square.
It's very square.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
I haven't watched it.
well, and notice how much wider he is than he used to
He's
be.
gotten so much wider. He's gone up 2 sizes in blankets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the long lining, I think.
Well, it's the combination of equalizing the weight left to right and getting the pelvis stable enough that the back can start coming up instead of pushing down. It doesn't even have to come up a lot. It just has to quit pushing down. That's what long and low is. And so he's obviously has a little bit going on with both. But I think the straightness, the equalization of weight left to right is less of an issue than him feeling like he can kind of trust his own hindquarters and fully let
Yeah.
go of his neck.
He's not dropping the hind end as much as he used to. Remember months
Hmm.
ago, that was a huge problem. It
Yeah,
only happened once in this ride, and this is probably 20 minutes into my ride.
yeah.
Um,
And
so
so,
he's doing pretty good.
and he still has a little bit of a tricky time bending through all the leg joints.
Yes.
Like he still kind of looks sickle hocked, where the hock doesn't
Yep.
really straighten out all that much. Now, just there as he was coming into halt, and again, you got a fairly square halt, but I love the width between the front legs and the width between the hind
Hmm.
legs tells you that he's loosened up a lot of old tightness. And
Yeah.
so I think, especially with what you described, that he feels like he plows through with the front end, but the back end doesn't feel stable. I would turn your focus to the things that stabilize the pelvis, which is related to front back balance, not left right
Okay.
balance.
Okay.
So it's a little
That'll be
shift.
different.
Yeah. So the way you build up the hindquarters is speed adjustments, transitions, or like you're doing on the long reins, level on a
That's
circle.
his new thing.
What?
That
Hang on.
parking out, because remember he used to stop capped under.
Mm-hmm.
So now he halts parked out a lot, like he's trying to let go of his back.
Like that.
Yeah, see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why I think I've always suspected with Milo that kind of the biggest issue is really somewhere in the lumbar. I can't tell you exactly why I
totally
think
agree
that,
now.
but
Yeah.
the lumbar
I've got an
sacrum,
appointment with Dr. Hancock to come out and maybe do an internal to see if there's something.
and I think it's more muscular than bony. I don't think he's even,
Yeah,
I don't think you have kissing spine back there or anything like that. But yeah, that
I don't think
parking
it's
out,
any of that, but yeah, see
that,
him? And
yeah.
he does that on the long lines now too, where he used to feel. So the first rides I did on him, you mentioned it looked like I was leaning back, but the reason was because he was pushing so hard up
Hmm.
his lumbar. He
Yeah.
was kind of bowed the other way,
Yeah. So
and he's not doing that anymore.
what they call camping under, bringing the hind legs too far under and kind of just because like we can round the spine as people, but when we can see a horse round the spine, that's
Yeah,
pretty severe dysfunction.
yeah,
So camping out is that sort of rounding of the back and tucking the hind legs under. And parking out is the opposite. It's
Yeah,
putting the
that's what
hind
I
legs
figured.
behind. And so he could just be working himself on the musculature that's supporting the lumbar sacrum and pelvis. That's usually where they'll do camping under or parking out, is when it has to do more with the
Hmm.
low back than the upper back.
Yeah, I don't feel anything
Whoops.
bad underneath me, underneath the saddle. It's all behind me that I feel is not
So
right.
I'm sure you're still going to feel some high side, low side, left to right, but that's
I do
coming,
occasionally.
it's coming more, not that his, like the width of his hind legs and front legs between both front legs is wider, between both hind legs is wider. That tells
Right.
you that the left-right balance has significantly improved.
Okay.
And so I agree that I think that holding in his neck has more to do with him feeling stable through his hindquarters,
Mm.
where he
Yeah.
can use the hindquarters not only to push forward, but to resist his own body weight from falling forward. And that takes a bit of muscular strength. So that's why long and low would just get us in the right direction. And
Hmm.
I don't think he can fully straighten out his mane and find long and low without grass as a motivator
I agree. I have to use
because
that
of
more.
because of the stability of the hindquarter, because of the lack
Okay.
of stability of the hindquarter.
Well, we
So
can focus on that.
yeah, so how do we stabilize the hindquarter and get it working? We've got speed adjustments, transitions, or level and straight on a turn or circle.
We're not there yet. The first two, yes, but the third one, no.
Okay. So then the easier thing might be you can let him choose the path of travel. You're certainly in a small enough area riding that he's going to have to turn. So
Right.
leave, you can just sort of focus on keeping the neck centered to your seat bones. So kind of really
Okay.
alternating between the left and right rein as needed. So if he bends the neck to the right, even if you can't see it, he's going to increase the tug on the left rein. So you might need a little more rein contact to feel that.
Okay. I'll
And
try that.
then under your seat, you're already doing it, but continue doing it, shifting your weight left or right, depending on which side he's pushing up and which side he's dropping.
Right.
But I would add in a little bit more support for the neck, especially because he's constantly turning in this size space. That's why you don't
Right.
even have to steer to get the job
Not
done,
really.
right?
Only when he stops, and it's very hard to get him to move.
So what you're going to do is ask him to stop before he chooses it.
Okay. That'll be
So
different.
walk, halt, transitions get the job done,
Okay.
and random turns with a straight neck and a level back also get the job done.
Okay. We'll play with those then.
Yeah. And so to ask him to halt, the first aid that's dynamic that we give is we find our length up and down through our torso and legs and even our arms. So I just sort of in my mind go lengthen every muscle in my body,
Okay.
right? So the first step is lengthen and then start increasing eccentric contraction, arms,
Okay.
legs, torso, everywhere. So
Cool.
when you increase the lengthened contraction, I think of it like brake pads in a car. Does that
Okay.
make sense? So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
you're
get that.
you're resisting the acceleration he's offering. Doesn't matter if it's on the highway or a school zone. Brakes always work the same way. They resist acceleration without going against the direction. That would be reverse, right? So when we brake in the car, we're applying resistance without changing direction.
Right.
Everything's still going forward. That is key to building up the strength and stability of the hindquarters. So when you ask for a downward transition, lengthen every muscle first, start increasing the contraction, the tone, and I kind of do everything at once.
Right.
And when you have a rein contact, that contraction, even though you haven't moved your hands or shortened the reins, he's going to begin to feel that as part of the braking aid through the reins. If he doesn't stop, especially with a horse in rehab, I lengthen everything. I start contracting my muscles. I count to three. Then I shorten the reins.
Okay.
So I'm giving him time, but rather than shortening your arms or your muscles, you shorten the reins if you need more resistance, more
Okay.
slowing power. Okay. And if he stops before you include the reins, bonus. Like
Bonus.
that's him using his muscles that he needs to stabilize the pelvis and lift the back and bend the legs, right? It's all of those things. And so then when you ask for forward, as soon as you increase the muscle tone of your calves, you can only do that so much before you destabilize your torso.
Okay.
So I try not to move my legs inward. I just tighten the calf muscles, and it's not very strong because we're old ladies. So then, although you have calves like a Welsh
I
farmer.
too much bodybuilding.
Yeah,
Actually, I what I try to do instead of tensing is I just tell myself to bend my knees.
whatever works as the
Yeah,
aid.
for me it's let go of the knees and then the aid ha actually happens.
Right. So I just think of lengthening and tightening my calf muscles. That's
Okay.
how I do it. But as soon as I feel the need to kind of move my legs inward, I'm going to reach for a tap instead.
That's what this was the first time I rode him with a dressage whip, so I had that on hand.
Yeah, the dressage whip makes it the easiest, but if
Right.
you have a short whip, it still doesn't matter. And if you have no whip, you just reach back and tap somewhere on top of the back or the hindquarters with your just a light tap, tap, tap.
Yeah.
And the reason we do it that way is because that's where both the accelerator and the brake are, right? So if we want to push on the accelerator, it doesn't help if we push on the clutch. We got to hit the
Right.
accelerator, right? So spurs are in the wrong place. The lower leg is not exactly in the right place to
Yeah. I don't think he had
stimulate it.
any. I think somebody rode him with spurs because he's like dull-sighted.
And it could be what we're really looking at, which is what creates an unstable, disengaged pelvis. And it could have originated in the lumbar, but the effect is now a weak hindquarter,
Yeah.
right? So when we're looking at that, it's it's a lot of core muscles, a
Mm.
lot. And so it could be a strength issue, not that he doesn't know the leg aid. It's just if you're not sort of spooking him into forward, he doesn't know how to organize forward, or he doesn't
Hmm.
have the strength to push forward with you kind of being out of the way. So he doesn't know how to dynamically use his own internal accelerator very well, or that accelerator is kind of weak,
Good
right? And
point.
the same with his internal brakes. He either doesn't really know how to use it, doesn't have that coordination because it was done for him, or as strong as he looks on the outside, he can be just as weak in the inner layers of muscles that we can't see. So
Right.
we don't really know, but instability tells us the core muscles are weak. That's what it
Right.
tells us. So he might be slower to respond to upward and downward transitions. But
He's pretty slow to both. Yeah.
but what you're looking for is in the process of doing transitions and sort of taking the opportunity to keeping him level and straight while he has to turn in this small area. You're building the left to right balance is really still pretty important for the hindquarter engagement. Otherwise, you're building up one side of the pelvis, but not the other.
Okay.
So that's why the neck straight with a light rein contact, your seat level when his back is unlevel is a constant. That kind of has to be in place in order to really engage the hindquarters and lift the back. So then you're going to add to that walk halt transitions.
Okay.
And if he picks the transition, that's fine. If he's going to halt, just don't sit there and have a cup of coffee. Put your legs on.
Right, right. So what's interesting, we're not listening to the auditory, but to show how much he has improved, because he was real flighty when we first got him. There is a dump truck with a trailer on it backing up down the
Beep,
main
beep,
road.
beep.
Beep,
Yep.
beep, beep with a trailer. And up comes a big, huge semi up the road to go into my neighbor's house to unload sawdust. And he's like, no big deal. I
Yeah.
got this.
It's fine.
I'm fine. I'm just working here.
This is just how it rolls out here in the
Yep.
country.
Yeah. So that's a big improvement because,
Yeah.
I started thinking, wow, should I get off? But he was fine. He
No,
looked,
he's
but
all business.
he's
Yeah.
business. He's like,
He's all
okay, I'm right
business.
here. No problem.
Yeah, the ears are half back most of the time. When
Yep.
he does have a little distraction, it lasts less than a second and he's
Yeah.
right
He's
back.
gotten much better with that.
Yeah. And I think too, the steering would improve just by taking a very light rein
Okay,
contact.
I'll start trying that and see what
Yeah.
happens. But you
Just
see, all his halts, he's really parking out quite a bit.
so that's going to be the timing. This is where the transition will help the most. Give
Okay,
him all the time he needs to halt,
okay,
all the time he needs to go forward, but begin the halt aid after a few steps of forward and begin the forward aid as soon as he halts.
okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, because if he stays at halt, he readjusts,
He does.
camping
Yeah.
under or parking out. And if he stays in motion, what I see is the neck lengthening, shortening, and I see a lot of wobbliness, which is
Mm-hmm.
coming from behind, but that's why you have trouble steering up front.
Right.
And so I would say, and if he really starts to get reactive to the transitions, then let him wander a little. Because
Okay.
if it's too much too soon or he gets fatigued, he'll start either pushing back or getting cranky.
That's what
And
he did. Right near the end, the last 5 minutes of the ride, I asked for trot and he just pinned his ears and kicked out.
well, I can look at him and go, he's not ready for trot.
Yeah,
So that was him telling you I'm not ready for trot.
right.
And so that's why I think walk halt transitions
Okay.
until he gets more stable, until he's lighter off the leg aid, until he's lighter off the braking aid.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't think of that. That makes total sense.
Yeah. Because the coordination is the same, walk or trot. And I can see he's made massive improvements, but he's in an unfamiliar place. And
That's
so
probably true for
adding
him.
speed to that can make them a little cranky.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm
I
doing
just
my
thought it was
best.
great that he had an opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Well, and like I
I
said,
can't do that right now.
going from flight to the pushiness or pushback
Yep,
of fight, that to me always signals deep change.
right.
Like when people and horses aren't changing, they always pick the same defensive strategy.
That's a good point.
But when we are changing, but we're not there yet, we switch strategies. So Pushy horses suddenly get spooky, and spooky horses suddenly get pushy.
Hmm.
And that's normal. It's just part of the process of figuring things out. But it's a sign that we're not there yet.
Okay.
So I would say shorten up the reins, add a lot of transitions, and see what he has
Okay.
to say about it. And then probably pretty quickly, you can play with the timing of the transitions, like how many steps do I let him walk? How
Okay.
much do I let him fall apart? Do we need a little interval where I just let him mooch around and then we do transitions again? He'll kind of guide you on what he can handle.
Okay.
So, no right or wrong way to do it, but you're going to practice balancing go and whoa and think of it that way while you're
Okay.
maintaining kind of straight and level, but he can pick the path of travel. You're going to pick the speed.
Okay. That's a good point.
Hmm.
Okay.
And it's an easier way to do it because there's a lot we're feeling and focusing on. So having a nice, safe, enclosed space like this where he has to turn a lot anyways
Hmm.
is perfect because then all you have to do is look at the neck, feel the levelness in the saddle, and work on upward and downward transitions one at a time. And what you're really looking for, if transitions are the key, you're going to see the top of the mane lose lose the arc. You're going to
Okay.
see it straighten out. He might even, well, since you have grass in there, you could blame it on the grass. But if you see the,
He's usually grass diving when I ride him, and he didn't at all. I was really surprised.
and it may be because he doesn't feel stable in long and low yet.
Maybe,
So as
yeah,
soon as he does, you might have a grass diving problem again, but that's not bad
maybe. But
news.
I was surprised because, when we're long lining, it's a big deal.
So there's your answer. It's easier for him to change his balance without the weight of the rider.
Yeah, perfect. Bingo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if he
He's
can hold long and low, eat grass, and even snack,
he is now trotting in long and low and eating grass like Finer Things does.
yeah. So if they can snack without stopping, I go, then they're really getting pretty stable in that posture of long and low. And
Yeah.
so if
There's the
the
semi coming up the road.
oh so if that is happening on the long reins, you can up the challenge on the long reins by
Okay.
play with halt, walk, trot transitions more often.
Okay.
And under saddle, you might have to stick to the walk,
Yeah, I don't
but
have a choice right now. Yeah.
yeah, but you can work on the left-right balance at the same time that you're balancing woe and go, which is related to the front, back, up, down balance. So you're working on all three dimensions. But yeah, the parking out is probably
Yeah,
just
this is
different
new.
muscle
This is
use.
new.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally new because he used to do the total opposite.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot more wiggle in the neck than you're aware of with the
Might
reins
be.
as loose as you have them. And so he might need a little more help stabilizing spinal alignment because you said he's still rocking a bit with the rotation under the saddle.
Occasionally, but it's a pretty aggressive rock. You know what I mean? It'll be fine and then boom.
Yeah, so that tells me refine the internal straightness,
Okay.
but start focusing on balancing propulsion or acceleration and braking.
Okay.
And full transitions kind of make them work muscularly the hardest. But I would do full transitions. And what you should find if we're on track with what he needs is that the neck gets longer and lower the whole ride.
While I'm riding, right?
Hmm. And then he might grass dive because he goes while I'm down here, right? May as well
Yeah,
have it.
he's not made an attempt while riding.
Not yet at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So it probably has to do more with him feeling stable through his back and hindquarters with weight on his back.
Okay.
And it would help him a lot to basically find the same balance, whoops, the same balance that he's finding on the long reins. He just needs to find again with weight on his back.
Okay.
It's not any different. He obviously just doesn't have the strength to do it with weight on his back.
Okay.
So this is how you build the strength. You add weight. Because if it's pretty consistent on the long reins, the only thing you can really do on the long reins is tighten up the circle and add transitions.
Yeah, he's on a pretty tight circle on the long reins
Then you can
when we're
only
out on the
add
grass.
transitions, which is kind of hard on the long reins. So I would
It
say
is, but
it's probably time to focus on the riding and focus on transitions. I find are easier for the horse and me and have way more benefit
okay. I'll play with that for a
riding.
month or so and see, do another video and see where we are.
Okay. And did we address your questions or
Yeah,
did you
just
have
the
other
pushback was
questions?
the big deal. Just the pushback that he was giving me
Yeah.
when I asked for trot,
And
but
it's not
now it makes
coming,
sense.
like it's not coming with a lot of tension, I would imagine. He's probably just going through the motions of pushing against you, pinning his ears, but not really putting effort into it. Or would you say he's putting a good effort into it?
It depends upon how many times I ask.
He's like, "Did you not
Yeah,
hear me the first time?"
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. First, the pushback will come. And the last time I asked was the pinning of the ears, a very abrupt halt, and a kick out. And I went, okay, got it. I
Yeah.
hear you.
And what I had to do, like with Hercules, who has a lot of physical issues, is working on trot under saddle is super difficult. And so I have to play with just getting a slightly faster walk from the leg aid and then
Good
backing
point.
off.
Okay, that works with him. I'm glad you brought that up. That
Hmm.
worked. If I just ask for a little bit more walk and then back off, he was fine with that.
Yeah. Because what will transition
Okay.
them into trot is balancing the brakes and the accelerator.
Okay.
I go, you don't have to trot to balance that. You can do that between walk and halt. You can do that within the walk. You can do different little increases of acceleration in the walk. And I find if they're super bad at pushing back, that that's the more polite way to do it that they seem to accept. And then they sort of tip into trot on one of those
Okay.
transitions. But I'm never using my leg aggressively. It's always the same light leg aid. It just keeps resulting in more and more speed each time.
Okay.
Does
Makes
that make
sense.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not pushing harder. I'm just asking more
Asking
frequently.
more frequently. That makes
Hmm.
sense. Yeah. And that worked with him to just extend the walk a little bit and then back off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like micro transitions on the way to trot. You can have 1,000 micro transitions in the walk. Speed up a
Okay.
little, take your legs off, let him ease back. Speed up a little again, take your legs off, let him ease back. And that just takes the snark out of it.
Yeah, because it's snarky. He's being snarky.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
at least,
not until I've pushed him quite a few times, you know. He'll
yeah.
give me more walk, but he won't give me trot.
Yeah. And because I pushed Hercules at one time and really forced him into the trot, now, when I put my leg on even a little bit, I have to go through about 5 or 6 times where he just pushes back. He's way over the top in his reaction to
Mm.
my leg
In
aid.
in his mind.
And in his mind, he goes, I know exactly where this is going, and I'm not having
Yeah,
none of
don't
it.
ask that question.
Yeah. So I had to really back off and I had to go back to never getting heavy with my legs or stick.
He was a good teacher with that.
Yeah, he forced me. to have to do it that way.
Okay. So that's where I'm
Yeah.
at with him. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
And I go, it was a trot you could ride, but you would lose steering pretty severely, or he might go into a bucking and bolting frenzy. You never really knew. So
And
it
that's
was
no fun.
like, it's better just to kind of ease up and down the speed of the walk.
Okay.
And then there's moments where I can feel Hercules organizing himself trying to get into trot. And then he might back away from that a little. And then sometimes he tips into trot. But it's like he gets that kind of organized in his own body, and I don't force it. I go, when you're
Right.
ready. Yeah. But Milo's coming along, and I think it is time,
Thanks.
which is good news for the winter. You'll stay warmer if you get to ride more than do groundwork.
That would be nice.
Yeah, but
But
I
he is
love the
looking good.
width.
That's a beautiful, the width that he's gotten.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say his left to right balance
He's a cool dude.
is
I like him.
solid enough to just maintain what he's got and focus on the front to back balance. Because that's where I
Okay.
think he's
Play with
struggling the
that for
most.
a while.
Hmm.
I agree.
And you
Yep.
see there in that transition, the hindquarters are really good, and you put your leg on right away, so he didn't park out. I think
Right.
when he halts, if you sort of sit there for even a second, he goes, "Oh, good, I can park out." But
Okay.
if
Yeah.
your
You know what?
intention,
Callie used to do that. That's funny.
yeah, so as soon as all 4 feet stop, your legs come on lightly.
Start to think forward.
Start thinking forward, but you don't have
Okay.
to go forward right away.
Just think it, right?
Yeah,
I like that idea.
yeah. And so there where he gets a little distracted and you kind of wait for him, he's got more time to start parking out.
To go into a ha new habit. Yep.
Yeah. And it's probably just muscular relief for him right now to do that. That's
I
usually
think it
why they do
is.
it.
I allow it on the long lines just because it's different.
Hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, well, that's different than the capping under.
No, indifferent, especially opposite,
Yeah.
is always part of finding balance. You
Yeah.
don't just mosey into balance perfectly. You swing too much here, too much over there, do too much
Yeah.
of this, then too much of that. And
Yeah.
so a change like that is
He's
significant.
very itchy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. That was very helpful. Thank you.
This looks really good, and you look really solid on him. You also look like you don't have to think about your balance so
No, I don't have
much.
to think about that anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Isn't that a nice feeling?
It is. It took a while, but that's okay.
Hmm.
I
Wow,
think
that's
he's
why
going to
I
be
need
a
a
nice
lesson on
horse.
my shoulder. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm not when I'm on the ground.
Well, does it bother you when you're working horses?
No.
See, it's that whole thing we were talking about earlier about perception of.
Yeah, like what's interesting is getting on and off a horse will irritate my shoulder, but once I'm up there, rein contact or the long reins, even on the
Mhm.
ground, doesn't really bother it. It feels kind of good.
Well, if you think about down to if I had a, I don't think I've got, well, I've got my, you can't see it, but the anatomical bony structure of that joint is very different than most joints. It's pretty complicated and it's very easy where clavicular, the clavicle comes into it and meets up is a very small space.
I know, and I think mine is in a car crash.
I think it's you've maybe built up some scar tissue.
Either
And
that or arthritis, but it's like I have a bump.
yeah, so there, for some reason, your body, because of the trauma, what the body does is it just sends tissue in there to heal it, whether it's cartilage, whether it's fibrotic fascia, bony, whatever, it says, okay, we've got trauma here. We need to put a callus on it. Just like they're looking for a callus on a broken bone.
Yep,
They're happy with that because that's healing. But at some point, we need to go in and retrain the tissue to say, okay, that was great during the trauma, but that doesn't help a month, 2, 3 months down the road.
that's what I'm finding is that the muscles, like I even feel a little muscle atrophy around the
Right,
back of the shoulder, that I'm feeling it's a muscle issue. This isn't arthritis. This isn't like something happened to the joint.
right.
I can feel it's all that network of
That's a good word.
muscles
Yeah.
that's holding the shoulder in place. That's where I'm like, where does it need to go? I can't quite figure it out.
And that's part of, if you think about, well, the shoulder's pretty complicated in that it doesn't have anything great holding it together. It is those 5 muscle ligaments that go across the joint. So if you've had any pull on those, like by landing on it, really have to at some point start building up the muscles so that the tendons get tighter.
Yeah,
Because it probably, like you said, the language you used was it just doesn't feel right. I can't find, and that's the unknowing of it all,
yeah.
of retraining muscle movement.
Yeah, and I even like I'm consciously adding weight, just like for Milo, because
Hmm.
I know as unstable as it feels, like that's why it keeps tightening, that's why I keep getting
Hmm.
pain. And when it's loose, it feels weak and unstable. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
There's
I'm
no
f
tone. You don't feel the tone anymore.
right. So I'm
Yeah.
consciously finding things I can do. Like if I lift a bucket a certain way, I have no pain and I work the muscle. And I go,
Right.
that's kind of where I'm starting is what can I do
Right.
adding weight without triggering the pain and the clenching?
Right. So the main thing with the shoulder is if you're going to do delt work, which are these shoulder muscles right here on the outside, is always lead with your elbow and never go above 90. So even shorter than 90 for you.
Yeah.
You can even go kind of back with it and
Oh,
up and that.
let's save this for our lesson because we
Oh,
could
we're going
go
to do something
on.
separate. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to do something separate because
Okay.
I could not only use the help, but I don't think people think of getting help with you sometimes remotely because it is it's much better hands-on, but
Right.
you've helped me a ton remotely.
Right.
And I'm finding remote lessons with horses and riders are just as good,
I
sometimes
think
better.
so. I love these remote lessons.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll plan
So,
on that soon.
okay. After we get, well, we're back on track with the podcast, but
Yes, we are.
yeah. We'll add in a lesson from you to me.
Yep.
Should
We'll
be
talk
great.
about that.
All right, my dear, give
All
Milo
right.
a smooch
I will.
because he's
He's not
doing
very
so well.
cuddly, but that's okay.
He'll get more cuddly.
He'll get more cuddly when he's feeling better.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.